Hi, it's Lindsay Diane from DianeDecor.com. In this video, we're going to talk all about elegant design ideas for the home. And more importantly, we're going to talk about practical, actionable steps that anyone can take to move their home into a more elegant design. So let's get started with what exactly it means to have an elegant design. Having an elegant design in your home is all about having a comfortable, inviting, and stylish design. This is something that everyone can enjoy. It's an environment that puts everyone at ease and makes them feel welcome. An elegant design isn't about luxury or designer things. It's about creating a pleasing and inviting environment. Think about public spaces that are designed to accommodate lots of different types of people, like bank lobbies or hotel lobbies or airport lounges or office waiting rooms. These are all designed in a particular way. They are stylish, they are comfortable, and they are inviting. Certainly, some are more opulent than others, but at their core, it's an elegant design style. So let's talk about 5 ways you can incorporate an elegant design style into your home. Number 1 is to adopt closed storage. So closed storage means that all of your items are behind closed doors. They are not out on display, scattered around your home. It creates a more calming experience to not have 1,000 little things to sort of look at that are sitting on countertops. So here's a way where you can start to adapt closed storage, sort of one room at a time. So for instance, shoes. When we think about shoes that are at the entryway or at your back door, consider instead of having a shoe rack or a bench with shoes stored under it, to instead go for a shoe cabinet that will have all of your shoes behind closed doors. Now, this doesn't have to be an actual shoe cabinet with the pull-out drawers and you insert your shoes in there. It can be a regular cabinet and you maybe have some bins for shoes, or you're just laying your shoes on the shelves. Either way, they're behind closed doors. So it's really diminishing all of that visual clutter, especially at an entryway into your home. This is particularly important because shoes can look messy really easily. One falls over, they're not standing in a nice, neat line. They're also all different sizes, they're different colors, there's shoelaces hanging. So just on their own, they're kind of a messy item to look at if you don't have them in a picture-perfect storage solution. So the easiest, most practical way is to just put them behind closed storage. I'm not suggesting that you put them all in their little individual acrylic boxes like people do in these picture-perfect closets. That's not practical for everyday use, especially if you have kids running in and out. It's just not a thing that you would do in the average home. But what you can do is open some cabinet drawers, drop your shoes on the shelves, and close the doors. So this is a very easy closed storage solution. The next thing that you can do to adopt closed storage in your home is to opt for a storage ottoman instead of a traditional coffee table. Now, this will do double duty for you. It will still act as a coffee table. You can put a tray on it. Some of them have hard tops to them, so it just looks like a regular coffee table. But inside you can store items. You can store blankets, you can store toys, you can store video game controllers, anything that you like to use in your living room while you are living in that space, but you don't necessarily want out all the time and you need a quick place to store them away where they're close to where you're going to use them. Consider a storage ottoman. It will drastically reduce the visual clutter in your room and make it feel more calm and inviting. Hiding your trash cans inside closed cabinets is another great way to go, particularly in the kitchen where they may be taking up space, or even in your bathroom. If you have a designated cabinet that you know this is where your trash can slides in or out, it will help reduce the visual clutter in your space, particularly if you have open top trash cans. So let's say your bathroom trash cans don't have lids on them. This is not a great look visually, right? When you're starting to throw trash in there, you see the liner, you see the junk piling up. Instead, go ahead and put it behind closed doors if you can. Or you can opt for a trash can that actually has a lid on it. You can go for one that's stylish, that looks like a wicker basket. They have a lot of great options on Amazon that are slimline with closed tops, the little pivot tops where you can just drop things in. Those are a better option if you have to have your trash can out, or if you prefer to have your trash can out. But if you can, consider putting it behind a cabinet door so that you reduce the visual clutter in your space, as well as creating a little bit more walking space in your room as well. And last but not least, consider putting toiletries that you have on a bathroom counter behind closed storage. So instead of using a large tiered rack, let's say for your makeup or for your skincare, instead use a drawer organizer and pull that drawer out and have your items stacked and organized inside of your drawers instead of on the countertops. This will give you a nice clean surface that is calming and inviting. Elegant design idea number 2 is to adopt a neutral color palette. We all know that colors evoke feelings, and a neutral color palette where you're looking at creams and browns and beige and white and black gives you a very stable baseline as far as emotions are concerned. People aren't getting anxious, they aren't getting excited. It just lets you stay smooth and steady. And that's what you want in your home. You want it to be inviting for everyone. Now, I'm certainly not suggesting that you go out and repaint all of your walls and get new sofas and chairs just to adopt this neutral color palette. There are easier ways to take small steps to get you closer to a neutral color palette, or to have the neutral colors be a more dominating factor in your space. So let's talk about how to do that. Number 1 is going to be to limit labels. Limit the labels that you see, because the labels tend to be colorful. They're meant to draw your attention in the grocery store. And so they usually have lots of pattern, lots of bright colors, and that can really take away from a beautiful, elegant design. So you can either decant your products into a more neutral vessel. So your little hand soaps, you can decant into a hand soap dispenser that you've chosen. Maybe it's stainless steel, maybe it's all white or all black, whatever it is. Let that container be of a neutral color and decant it, or you can hide your things, tuck them into a cabinet where people can't see it, and use that closed storage option to start to limit some of the labels around your house. So just take a look around. You'd be surprised how many labels are just hanging out. So you have things like tissue boxes that may be in your living room on an end table. You have dish soap and hand sanitizer that might be in the kitchen. If you have things like coffee creamers and bags of ground coffee that are out on your counter by your coffee maker, look at all of those little things that are kind of out that don't necessarily need to be out. They're creating a lot of colorful distraction in your space, and the closer you can get to a more dominating neutral palette, the better. You also want to make sure that you clear your surfaces of unnecessary items. So if that box of Barilla pasta is out there and you're seeing all that blue labeling, and it can be in a pantry behind a closed door, put it in the pantry behind the closed door. Don't leave it out on the counter on display. The next thing that you want to consider doing is to clear off your magnets and all of the artwork and notes from your refrigerator. This creates a lot of visual clutter and a lot of colorful distraction in your space. So you can either choose to move some of those items from the front of the refrigerator and put them to the side of the refrigerator, or you could use a magnetic sheet. They have adhesive magnetic sheets that you can put on the inside of your cabinet, and you can store your magnets there. You can store notes there, or you can look for some of the framed magnet boards that look like just pieces of artwork, but they are magnetic, and you can usually write on them as well as like a dry erase board. And so when you want to clear it, it just looks like a beautiful piece of artwork. But if you need it to tack up a few things, you can do that as well. Slip covers are a great affordable option for covering colorful furniture. So if you have a piece of furniture that is very colorful or it's highly patterned and you want to sort of tone down that look and you want it to just be a plain cream sofa or a love seat instead of all of the pattern that it has on it, go for a slip cover. They're very inexpensive and they're a great way to change up the style of your furniture without having to buy a whole new piece. Other things that can detract from a neutral palette are hanging storage for papers, magazines, books. If you have hanging racks where you're storing that sort of stuff, it can really create a lot of colorful distraction on your walls. So consider using something else to store those items. You can also consider using a cabinet instead of open toy storage. We know a lot of the times the drop and go open toy storage where the bins are sort of tilted down towards you and it's easy for kids to throw those in. It's just as easy for them to slide out an acrylic bin that's labeled and toss their items in there, slide it back into a cabinet and close the doors. That's a more elegant storage solution for your toys so that you can make sure that you still have that functionality in your home that you need, but when everything is put away, the space just looks nice and calm and clean, and you aren't seeing a stack of bins with all sorts of colorful blocks and stuffed animals and dinosaurs and all that stuff. They may be off the floor and they may be in their bins, but you're still seeing that visually. So instead, consider rounding those up and putting them behind closed storage so that you can have a more neutral color palette. Family photos are another thing to look out for. While I love a great gallery wall, if you have multiple gallery walls or you have lots of framed family photos that are on console tables or end tables and scattered throughout your home, the colors, the frames, they can really detract from your neutral color palette. So consider limiting the amount of little photo vignettes that you have around your house. Maybe limit them to the bedroom or some of the less high traffic areas, or you can consider printing some of those photos in black and white so that you don't have the colors drawing your attention all the time. The next way to create an elegant design in your home is to make sure that you have an upgraded lighting plan. The lighting really makes a huge difference, and a dynamic lighting plan is much more elegant than a singular lighting plan. So when I say a singular lighting plan, I mean you just have your overhead lights and that's pretty much about it. If you have lighting that is from above, that's at eye level, that's maybe eye level when you're sitting, and then possibly floor level, that's a more dynamic lighting plan. And you can really manipulate the space and the way it feels in that space by having all of these different lighting options. Surely you wouldn't have them all on at the same time, but having the different lighting options will allow you to set the mood at certain times of day. So in the evening, you might be shutting off all of your overhead lights, your big lights, and instead you have your sort of task lighting that's on the sides of your sofas, or you have some under cabinet lighting lit in your kitchen. And then in the evening time, when it's nighttime, maybe you just have some floor level lights going on that help you see and create a nice subtle illumination that makes it safe for people to move around the house in the dark. It's a great way to create an elegant design in your home. Make that dynamic lighting plan. I have a video all about supplemental lighting that I will link in the description box below. It's full of affordable, actionable steps for you to add supplemental lighting, like picture lightings and wall sconces and under the cabinet lighting and stair lighting. There are a ton of options and they are very affordable nowadays. So I will link that video in the description box below and make sure you check it out. And another way to move your space into a more elegant style is to make sure that you upgrade your builder grade lighting into something a little bit more stylish. So you may be changing out your standard overhead kitchen light for maybe a flush mount chandelier or something like that. Again, we have videos all about different lighting styles for the kitchen, but in general, look for some nice lighting for your entryway, for your dining room. These, again, don't have to be expensive. You can find nice little chandeliers for $150 or so, and you can have them installed. Use TaskRabbit or one of those other sort of gig services to be able to get somebody to come out and install it for you. You don't have to worry about getting up on a ladder and messing with the electricity yourself. It's very affordable to just have somebody come out from one of those services. They'll take an hour, they'll install your chandelier or whatever lighting fixture you have, and you will instantly have an upgraded and elegant looking space. The next thing you can do to help move your space into a more elegant design is to address your material selection in your home. So consider swapping things that are plastic for things that are glass, ceramic, terracotta, or just otherwise a stoneware, or leather, metal, something that's woven. Go for those materials and that material palette over plastic little figurines and trinkets. If you have the option, just slowly start to swap out some of your materials around your home. This also includes your rugs. So consider your area rugs. If you have ones that are just a flat pile that has a printed pattern on it, maybe consider swapping that out for something that's woven or something with a high-low pattern. We want to let the texture create the visual interest over prints and patterns. So when you have your sofa, you can do a tone-on-tone look. You don't have to worry about all these different complementary colors. If your sofa is cream or beige, you can still do cream and beige pillows, but vary the textures, vary the materials. So go with velvet, go with satin, go with something with a little bit of piping on it, or something with fringe or pom-poms. It's this sort of texture that's going to add the visual interest into your space in a more elegant way than a buffalo check pillowcase or a, jacquard print, whatever. You know what I mean? It's instead of looking for those different colorful patterns, look for the textural experience. That's a more elegant way to create visual interest in your space. Also, don't forget your wall art. So instead of going for the cheap prints, instead look for paintings, look for sculptures, or look for hybrids. The hybrids are the things that we most often see at like Home Goods and Marshalls. They're prints that then people have gone over and done some little embellishments with brush strokes on top of them. It's still usually machine done, but it does create a little bit of a textural element. They are certainly much cheaper than getting a hand painting, right? Because lots of us can't afford an original hand painting. But if you have the choice between a regular print, a flat print that has no texture on it at all, and a hybrid, I would go for a hybrid. If you have the option between a hybrid and like a wall sculpture, then I would definitely go with a wall sculpture. They're much more dynamic. They create a lot of visual interest, and it adds that textural moment into your space. And the last way to help move towards a more elegant design is to secure the placement of your decorative accents. Now, we all know that when you're flipping through Better Homes and Gardens or Architectural Digest or any of those design magazines, they are staged. They are for editorial purposes. They are not homes that depict active living, right? You rarely even see someone sitting on a sofa. And we all know that the minute someone sits on a sofa, guess what? Your pillows get flattened out, maybe that cute little throw blanket that you have over the arms starts falling down, and the placement of your decorative items is constantly in flux when you are actually living in that space. And we want to create an elegant design for spaces that are meant for living. That's just practical for all of us. We're not living in staged homes. Now, there are a few little tricks to help keep some of your decorative accents in place so that you have that more polished look without having to straighten things out a million times a day. So the first thing that you can do is you can add weights to your curtains. So if you have cheaper curtains that are not particularly heavy, they're not drapes, right? Usually in a more luxury interior, you're going to see drapes. They're heavy, they hang a certain way because they have the weight on them. You don't usually see drapes that are all over the place because they have the weight to hold them in place. But lighter curtains that we might buy at Target or Walmart or Amazon don't have that kind of weight to them. But you can add curtain weights. You can clip them onto the bottom or you can sew them in, and it will help create that pull that will keep your pleats in place and keep your curtains in place so that when you slide them open, they aren't flying and hooking onto the edge of a chair or the edge of a dresser or something like that. They're going to have the weight to swing back and hang in place. And this is a really easy and affordable way if you are having trouble with keeping your curtains looking just so. Also consider using tie backs. That's another way to create a more uniform look when you open your curtains. Open them, use the tie backs to hold them in place so that then you have that nice swoop and hang down action when your drapes are open or when your curtains are open. Museum putty is a great solution for tabletop accents that keep shifting around. So if you have smaller little accessories that are constantly kind of sliding out of place because, you know, people bump into a counter or your kids are touching it and looking at it or whatever it is, your dog bumps the table, and you want to create that beautiful vignette and you want it to stay in place, consider the little tacky museum putty and put them underneath so that everything stays in place. You can also do this in your drawers if you have like utensil holders in the kitchen, or you have little drawer organizers in your bathroom that are inserted in your drawers and you want them to stay in place and you don't want that stuff to slide around. Use the museum putty and just put the little tacky bits underneath and it will stay in place perfectly. You can also, again, use these for your wall art. So if you are using like a hammer and nail to put up your framed artwork, you'll know that the bottoms still swing, right? You might have a picture wire or you have hooks where your picture frame is holding at the top, but the bottom might still be in flux. So instead, you can use the museum putty to tack them down in place. Another option is to go ahead and use the command strips. Instead of using nails in your wall, use the command strips. They hold a lot of weight, so unless you have a crazy heavy frame that you need your picture wire for, use the command strips. And then you'll have some at the top and at the bottom, and your picture is not going to go anywhere. Another item in your home that may be sliding around all the time is your duvet insert. Now, usually we have ties or buttons inside the duvet cover that allow you to connect the insert and the cover together to try to hold them in place, but sometimes it's just not enough. The ties come undone, they're not great. Instead, consider getting some of those iron-on snaps to add some supplemental security to your insert so that when you make your bed, you have that beautiful fluffed out look and you don't have a whole bunch of filling towards one side and you're always fiddling it with it to get it to look just right. When you have the snaps, everything stays in place. So consider grabbing a set of those. They're very inexpensive, under $15, and it will help secure your bedding so that when you make your bed, it's beautifully laid out every time. Similarly, if you have some decorative towels in your kitchen or in your bathroom, use the little clear acrylic towel clips to keep them in place. So when you hang them over, let's say, the edge of your stove or something like that, you can put the little clear acrylic clip on top and it will keep them in place. They won't be sliding this way or that and hanging so far over that then they fall on the floor, you know what I mean? So all of those little things that are really beautiful when they're in place, but in real life, they get messed up really, really quickly. So consider those little clips to keep stuff like that in place. Last but not least is to swap out some of your decorative vignettes for a larger statement item. So a lot of the times we hear about the rule of 3 or the rule of 5 when you're creating decorative vignettes. So you got like that little stack of books and you got your candle holder on top and all those little clusters of items that you use to decorate. We put them on tiered trays. We put them on console tables near your entryway. We put them on coffee tables. Instead of having a bunch of little clusters of things all over your home for decoration, go for one larger statement item. All the better if it's textured and has like a tactile feeling that creates that visual interest again. It's all the better if it's that, but instead of having all of the small pieces, go for something larger. Not only does it create a better visual impact, but you then don't have a bunch of little things that are going to shift around and you're going to have to straighten out and fiddle with every single time you walk by. So that's it for my list of 5 elegant design ideas, and those are all the practical, actionable tips for how to go about moving into a more elegantly designed space. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. And don't forget to visit me at DianeDecor.com. I post all about home decorating ideas and inspiration over there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.